Welcome to the future.
Double five. Out the box. Come recording.
All right, so welcome to another episode this week of Wize Digital. So today you are in the presence of the mighty, of the giant, David Casseus from Wize BA, and this is Joshua, the humble host. So this week, David, we're following up in the series of hypergrowth, right?
Yes.
So we are mainly gonna verify this week what can be done in the sales process to optimize it and to help an entrepreneur grow their sales rate in their business, right?
All right.
So, David, can you define for us when you say that SMEs are having issues with their sales process, what do you see? What do you mean by that?
So issues with the sales process is essentially when your marketing machine is working well. So you know what? Essentially, there's about 4 ways you get business. The first one is anything you put your logo on, like this hoodie, available. This mug,
Shout out.
available as well. So whenever you put your logo on a product, either it's on a bus or at a golf course, etc., etc., it's a way for people to it's views, right? So it's impressions. So that's one. Social marketing, digital marketing, everything involved that you're paying money, aid, radio, TV, sponsorship, etc. Everything that you are paying to get a sort of result is one form, general form of marketing. All right. The second form of marketing is either when you're a larger company, it's PR, public relationship. There's also cold call. Cold call, at the end of the day, it takes a lot of time to get a certain return, depending on the type of service that we're talking about. But if we're talking about low margins, like 5, maybe 7, 8, 10% at max, and it takes a lot of time. So then you also have referral marketing. That is one of our favorite way, right? All of us that are in Business Network International. So essentially, when these activities work well, you have an issue. You have to start selling. The first thing is confirming that, hey, we're going to be clients. So you have to go ahead and go through these steps to take that lead and convert him, or referral. It's going to be even easier to convert. And so that's where we with the clients that I start working with, or that I work with, one of the first things we'll be addressing is, are you using a CRM?
Okay. So if you allow, Dave, so what you're mentioning right now is how there's many ways, right, that a company can attract customers to their doors, right?
Yes.
But then they eventually have this beautiful situation, call it this way, of having too many customers available at the door, right?
Yes.
I think we were mentioning this young entrepreneur, right, that had this situation of he really optimized his marketing strategy online.
Yes.
And now he was managing 150 customers each month.
Yes.
And this entrepreneur now had so many customers at the door that it was difficult for him to track all this hyper growth situation.
Totally.
Can you elaborate on this situation?
Totally. So, and it's okay to share your story, right? I'm not telling you your name, but it's okay to share your story. He's right.
Shout out to the man in the room.
Exactly. He's right there with us. And so essentially what happened, he was the victim of his success in terms of his marketing machine, because at the end of the day, that's what he does, right? So with his marketing strategy, starting to have a lot of clients, and then realize that he was doing a little bit more every day. So he would end up working odd hours, like 60, 70 hours a week. So this is where you're selling too much and you don't have enough people. So even you are involved in the business.
But David, is there a thing as selling too much?
Nope.
I don't know. I don't know, right?
Nope.
Please correct yourself.
Listen.
What did you mean by that? Is it a problem of can I manage or process how many customers I
Exactly.
received.
That's the real issue. So that's what when we are talking about throttle control. So it means that does your organization as a unit is able to take that much of a load of new leads and being able to treat it. Some companies, listen, because they don't have enough employees. I'm talking about sales representative, sales director, director of sales, all these different titles that essentially they're your entry door to this business. These guys, they first off, they want to qualify you, see if what you're looking for is what they can offer, right? And then there's a question of values, things like that. So they'll qualify you, and then with what you're going to say, what you're going to present to them. And some of one of the hardest thing about this job is handling objections, and this is where when you start tracking, you can get feedback or give feedback to the marketing strategist and adjust a little bit the message. So we'll talk about that later on. But essentially, you qualify the lead, and then it's time to eventually propose the service offer, get a deal, signature, etc. So I'm giving the example of a company, consulting company, or a company that sells very high-end or type of SaaS or a solution. We're talking about 100,000, et cetera, like a translation company that is using AI. So with the volume, and sometimes even more, with the volume of leads that you're receiving, well, you have to put in place a nice machine. So that's where we're talking about CRMs, the level of information it can manage, the automation. It can reduce the time where people in the company are spending time. We're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. So it's a very good introduction of you're having a lot of sales, and now you have to manage it. Okay. So the major issue is handling that load. So there's so many ways where process mapping can help in that process. So the first one is you have your marketing process. Now you're receiving leads in from different type of channels. What is your single point of entry that you're able to quickly make that person go from a lead to a customer? So as many steps as you can remove. We're going to take multiple examples for this one. My osteopath. With her, you could just go on her website, you look at the availabilities, you book yourself, you go. She does a wonderful job, especially when I'm doing the 75 hard. So now that I'm a little bit more active, I want to be sexy for the camera. I just book her directly, and that's it. And other services like mine, well, first off, we would have to make a discovery call. It's kind of a qualification call, and then get to know a little bit about yourself, your business, your challenges that we might be able to help. If it's not the case, for sure, we'll be referring that person to someone else. We have a very specific fit of values and type of clients that we're addressing issues. So then it's when the customer has provided context and enough for you to be able to figure out that, you know what, let's start with this first thing, that is mapping your sales process. That's where you'll realize that there's a lot of things that are manual. There's no really KPIs to kind of follow. The information is at different places, different systems. If you're lucky, you have a good back end, like a website, somewhere where the customer can pay. Everything is automatically addressed, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where you have to kind of dissect where is the bottleneck coming from.
So what you're mentioning over here, David, seems to relate to the sales process, right?
Yeah.
And then you gave the example of your osteopath, that it was just as simple as I went on a website, I clicked take an appointment, it booked with the lady, and then she allowed me to pay with my credit card. And in less than 5 minutes, she made money, right? Because somebody went online and just booked an appointment, right? But you then also give another example of your company in which you have a qualifying call. So you have different steps into your sales process, right? So can you give us more about the sales process, right? The typical sales process in a company from beginning to end. And then how can a CRM come in and assist in these different steps?
Yeah, totally. Let me take, for instance, a membership organization. Okay. There's different type of it, the type of organization like this one. And so the membership organization has one product. It's membership. Okay. So as a customer, they, for some reason, they get to know about your event, word of mouth. They go to an event, a networking event, and then they're like, "Oh, this is interesting. It kind of fit. That's where I'm with my business, and I would like to apply for membership." So this is where, okay, how easy it is it for that person to become a member? Some membership organizations, I'm talking about networking organization like a Chamber of Commerce, for instance, if you go, and you don't even necessarily need to go, you can just go on the website, pay, and you're a member, and then you're able to participate in the life of this organization, get to meet, build relationship with members of the Chamber of Commerce. And at the same time, like an organization, the same thing, with an organization like BNI, the process is totally different. In BNI, you typically visit a chapter first, and then if same thing, you find it interesting, you have to apply, and then there's an interview, and then there's essentially a committee that decides if this member is a fit in the group and is a complementary member of the team, either through working with people that are doing about the same thing, so the contact sphere, and then you're able to pay and you join the group. It's a very different process. You see what I mean?
So this one has a bit more steps than the one you just described about your osteopath.
Yes, exactly.
Hers, it was just like 2-3 steps. Yours had a few more steps.
Exactly.
So this takes time, if I understand correct.
So this is why by mapping the process, you get that blueprint, that picture that this process is very short, this one is longer. So and sometimes it's okay for it to be longer. You'll have other ways to make the process faster. In this case, we're trying to either remove a step or automate the step, or make it so that it takes the less time possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can help our entrepreneurs understand a bit more, so what are the benefits in terms of really going in and then targeting the different sections of your process to increase your sales, right? To make more money, to remove the bottlenecks, as you said.
Yeah. So one of them would be at the very beginning of when you're qualifying, and you are essentially turning this lead into a client. In my case, or consultation, these type of business, you have a first step of about 15 minutes, and then you have another step of anywhere between 30, not more than 45 minutes to present your service offer. And then, so that's the first step. You want to make sure, or as quick as possible, that the lead gets to talk to a person or gets to buy the product as soon as possible. Especially nowadays with a phone. Recently, I was on my phone. I can't remember what I was. An event. An event to your event, actually. And it was on Eventbrite, and I could pay with my Apple on my phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, before it was the credit card, but now it's the actual phone that is paying. So I know we're a little bit behind. There's other places around the world that add that technology for a while now, but it makes it easier. It makes it simpler, you see? So this first step is one that we can typically kind of address. The other ways are, for instance, you're interested, you fill in, you book this appointment, automatically you get access to a representative of that company, typically pretty quickly, 1-2 day maximum, because you don't want it to make longer, so people they'll start looking at other options. So the faster you acknowledge that customer that you know what, we've received your request or your interest, etc., automatically they receive an email or a text confirmation or etc. So these are the little things you can start to either make shorter or automate.
But what you're describing over here, David, is a bit of how does a company handle the relationship with its customer, right? Through the different process that this customer will be in relationship with you. So in the beginning, how you bring him in, but also in the middle, how you handle him. How can you contact him? How can you maybe propose him other services, right? So today you mentioned to me that the CRM really helps with this process of
Yes.
maintaining this relationship with the customer and also maintaining his information safely, of course, but also to better be able to give him the service that he needs, right? So can you elaborate a bit more on the CRMs available or techniques?
Yes, that's a very good question. So there's different class of CRM. There are the first of one different prices. There's even some free one. Let's start with one that is kind of very simple and very effective. It's Pipedrive. So there's that view of, looking at in a Kanban view of where your deals are. It's very natural. It's very, the ergonomics as well of the software, the UX, UI design is very well made. And then one big thing with Pipedrive, it's how it integrates with other solutions, such as you've made the sales. Now you have to run it into a project like with Asana. That's typically it's a very good combo. And then in front end, let's say that you have a contract to sign, you could add another solution like a Pipedrive. So that's one of the big thing with Pipedrive is that you can integrate different solution to make it the central hub. You could even connect your phone, your voice over IP. So every time someone would call the office or call you, the call would be recorded and would be associated with your contact card. So these are different type of technologies that a CRM can leverage. The other one also is integrating your emails. So let's see, you are in my contact database. Every email that we exchange is I'm going to press on your contact card. I'm going to see all the emails that were connected, the meetings that we had as well, especially when you are in good infrastructure like Office 365 or Google for Business. These are the typical go-to whenever you're getting a software as a service as an integration. So these are very powerful tools, and I'm taking that example specifically. I was one of my clients. She was copying the information of emails interaction with clients to keep them as proof. It was
Every time by herself?
Manually,
Oh,
her
Lord.
and her team. So it was very labor intensive. At the worst, it could have been outsourced, but that's another debate totally. In their case, we just migrated the emails to on the cloud solution, but especially Office 365 or Google. And then the CRM was already ready for it. They weren't using that function the day that they migrated, and then we connected. When they click on the contact form and they saw all those emails and events and
Already
etc.,
in.
they were like, wow.
But
The time
David,
we
imagine this person, how much time was she spending per week doing this management of information of the customer? And how much time was saved by her just having access to, per se, Microsoft 365 and the just auto-listed information in one place? How much time do you think she saved?
Quite frankly, I have no idea. Matter of fact, no, I might be able to know because they are tracking their time. So that's the very powerful element that, let's say, you can measure your sales cycle by tracking the different activities that a salesperson is doing in a week, like the percentage of administration tasks that he's doing. That's where you can start making his work more efficient by making the sales cycle shorter and more automated.
But thank you. As you said, if the process is more efficient, then she's spending less time per customer And now she's allowed and she's able to have a lot more customer in the same amount of time.
Actually, yes, with a caveat that let's say that you're able to save that person 6 hours. There's 2 hours that should go back to personal development, time productivity, tools and assessment, working on their behavior, etc. Reinvesting in the employee, but not in a typical more hours for you to do more job.
Well, it's obviously the person has other affectations of the time that they would have to put in, right? But in the theoretical aspect of it, if the customer takes less time to process, she in theory could receive and treat more customers.
Yes, that's for sure. And like I said, it's just my perspective because I work with a lot of my HR partners and the sale activity is very stressful. So you need for them to have release valve time that they're not selling, that they're investing, they're getting trained, they're following a specific course, etc., etc. You want to make them use different part of their personalities and their aptitude. So this is just
okay.
And this is one big thing with when I work with my clients. People think initially that I am all about technology, right? But I'm not. That's
Really?
not the only thing that I do. I look at everything because everything has an impact. It's a process. So if that leader is stressed or is overworked, etc., for sure it's going to have an impact. So just that alone, simplifying and optimizing the process, make it so that there's less pressure and less stress.
So the CRM, right, it allows the sales rep to have less admin work on his shoulders. So on his end, he can focus on more reaching customers or more efficient or effective tasks that will lead to a sale.
Definitely. It's a still to this day, I can't remember the stat. It's about 40% of salespeople are still using spreadsheet, paper, calendars, and their contact list on their.
So almost one business over two is using these non-automated ways then to track customers.
Yes, that's a lot to this day. To this day, there's so many. Anyhow, there's so many ways. The CRM is just a more powerful. It's a powerful improvement when you start looking at solutions. So we were talking about Pipedrive, and then and something that is a little bit more evaluated. Another higher category would be HubSpot or Keep. So now we're starting talking about CRMs that have marketing automation. But then you also have that kind of new tier of solutions like System.io and High Level. Their perspective is different. They look at probably like more a department, so a marketing agency, and each of the modules work together to make sure that from a lead to a customer, it's done as fast as possible. So the level of automation you can input on that, and where a lot of us are doing that conversion thanks to our wonderful marketing strategists. Some of them were ahead of the curve, going to convention when there was about 40 high-level experts and specialists. So we're talking, maybe 3-4 years ago, regardless. This solution is slowly taking a lot of pace just by how easy you can program and you can do these customization to remove a task that is done manually.
So we did this example, Dave, of when a customer is safely and securely in the house and he accepted the sale. So this is good, right? But what happens when in the process of the sales process, the customer says no, or I don't want to? So in the sales department, we know that if you reiterate a try with a customer, there's more chance of making a sale. The more you reach out to him, or the more you, try again to reach him, right? But in terms of the sales process, if you get leads online, if you don't have a way to reach back to your customer, you might have lost the sale. So can you elaborate with us about how a CRM can help a company reach out to these customers, or again, help to optimize the closing rate of sales.
So one of my favorite one is typically we receive leads in an automated way, right? Either a referral marketing system, you're getting referrals, or you're getting leads from your landing page, or a podcast, etc., etc. The first time that person enters its contact, either email or cell phone, very fast, within seconds, you're interacting with that person. Or even on the website with the chatbot, person that the same lead or potential customer enter his information, it's how quickly are you responding, because this person is most likely looking for other solution as well. So you want to be one of the first to respond to its request.
So if I'm not fast enough, I can lose a sale then.
Yes.
Is that the market nowadays? Is this the new expectation?
No.
How fast should I be?
It's been like that for a while. There's some fields like home inspection. So when you're about to buy a home, you have a certain number of days to have the home inspected, and to be able to either eventually adjust the sales price of the house. You need to do that very fast.
It's time sensitive.
It's very time sensitive. Let's say that you have a water issue at your home. You're gonna look quickly for a plumber. So these type of services, you need to talk to someone quickly, or to have something that is confirmed very quickly. So the agenda could work. Maybe having kind of a call center, it would be another option. Eventually, AI. Voice call center, also taking calls or making calls as well. So these are going to be, especially when you have a very efficient marketing strategy that is working, these are some other areas that you would definitely look of improving with the CRM. So the first contact, whichever way it enter.
So it's all about optimizing and limiting the time between when the customer comes to your door that I want your service, and being able to give him the service.
Yes, exactly. So this becomes also part of the time objection. So you were alluding earlier about what could make a customer say no. So typically it would be budget, authority, need, and timing. So BANT, the acronym. And for these four, a lot of time they're not really objections, so it's just the person reflecting. So you have to turn it into just an affirmation and move forward, or else you could definitely have an answer for the fact that, oh, it's a little bit expensive, or that's not the budget that I had in mind, etc., etc. Like buying a car with trims,
as customers often do. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're like, oh, for sure on the showroom they show you the top of the line, like the fully loaded car. So that's what you want, and then you realize that, oh, okay, it's a little bit more than expected, and let me pick and choose, etc., etc. Or you find another option maybe a year earlier, etc., etc., because your constraint is budget. Okay, so for this, a lot of time it's perception of value, because personally I find that there's a lot of Tesla on the road, and they're $80,000 cars. It wasn't the case just a few years ago. You wouldn't see a lot of $80,000 car around.
True, it was not as popular.
So people found a way, right? They sacrificed or whatever they made extra to get that car. So when you think of it, budget is really an issue. So because the perception of value of Tesla is that high, people are ready to pay that much money for a car, paying with their credit card. You see, they make it convenient. Very short first step to the second step.
You give me that example, that on Tesla, you can just purchase your whole car with a credit card, right?
Yes.
Again, going back to the concept of simplifying the process of purchasing a car.
Yes.
But also, you mentioned to me in that example of some people have the availability of making that purchase on their credit card. So you gave to these customers the ability to do it.
Yes.
In the past, it wasn't maybe possible.
Yeah.
So in terms of rebuffing or going around the objections, a CRM becomes a really powerful tool then.
Yes.
To reach again to your customer. You mentioned the example with the cars, right? I went to a dealership. First time I go, I speak to the lady. Perfect. Yes, see the car, try it. All right, let me go back home. She calls me again, right? Come back again. Let's try again. Okay, come for an appointment. Again, another reach. That's a human, right? But then the next one was an email. The next one was a text message. And each of these is part of a whole sales process put in place by this dealership. I might have went and purchased the car if it wasn't for my boy Consultoto, shout out to the man, right? But just mentioning to that process that they tried to get me many times and I could have said yes, right? So it goes to this process when you say that you have a customer, they want your service.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not ready now. Well, the CRM can help you maintain these scheduled reappointments with the customer.
Yeah. Totally. Then there was also how a CRM can help in the other objections, like authority. Authority, maybe in the step before, would ask a question like, are you the decision maker? Or there's so many objections, especially in the book The Closer, one of my favorite, and one of my good partner Isabel favorite book, The Closer from Grant Cardone. You'll find a bunch of objections. And nowadays also on ChatGPT, actually you'll get the whole thing and adapt it to your context, but that's another subject, another podcast by
Just another
itself.
tool.
Yeah. So when you keep that in mind, and then in terms of timing, when at the end of the day they contact you and for some reason your back order, etc., you don't have the things in stock, etc. So this could be one. And finally, the need. Well, essentially, they thought it would be interesting. So for me, it's like buying a pair of Adidas sneakers, but in reality, I'm never going to buy them. I'm always going to buy Nikes. So that's a very harsh example, but yeah, totally. I just don't need it. Whatever the Yeezy slides, or if it's made by Adidas, I'm not wearing it.
Well, they qualified you in the sense that you just want Nike, so you're not even going to go on the Adidas website, right? You just go to the website that you prefer, right? So in terms of leveraging then the tech, Dave, to go about these objections, do you have a few tools to propose to us? Like how can we, what tools can we use for these situations?
So these tools are more in the realm of sales coaching and still sales marketing. If we just connect with the previous podcast about the marketing strategy, it's when you have those objections at a certain level or a certain click, that's where you can help marketing by giving them feedback that, you know what, most of the time we're getting a budget objection. Maybe we'll have to change the strategy and how we're projected, et cetera, et cetera. A little bit like one of my favorite example is Toyota Camry and the Lexus ES. They're essentially the same car, but with a $24,000 difference. When you look inside the Lexus, yes, the materials are nicer. The look is a little bit sleeker. You see the craftsmanship behind the car. So in my perspective, it totally justifies the price. But that's where you see that the need objection is very different. Some people would need something more practical, and other would need something a little bit more lush or comfortable, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where by having different service offer and different product, that then you help the sales process go a little bit faster.
Okay, I understand. So isn't that a bit branding for that specific aspect of the Toyota versus the Lexus, right? This would have been an aspect of how it was presented to the customer and the need that you mentioned.
Yes.
So the objection of, I don't need a Toyota or I don't need a Lexus. Well, in the sales process, right? How would you see a CRM tackling that situation?
The CRM would most definitely would ask questions like, not necessarily what your budget, but what are the things that you're looking for. the option, etc. What are you going to use it for? All these different elements would make you have a profile, a persona, and then you would say, oh, you know what? I would propose you this car, this car. This is why it's so great to work with a car dealer, car broker. I'm sorry, where he does the shopping and he's the one making the triage. So he's most likely using a CRM. When you enter all this information, it goes and reduce the number of choice or make it more precise of what you really want. So these are some of the application when you have a CRM that you could take from coming from the marketing strategy.
So if the customer goes through that process, it just gives you as a company a way more qualified and a way more likelier customer to purchase your product.
Yes.
Because you don't want to have 10 million customers, but one buys your product. It's a lot more efficient to have 1,000.
That would be terrible.
Imagine, but that would be a really
someone would be
awful
fired.
closing call, right? But imagine some companies don't have a good success rate of conversion of a lead or an opportunity.
Wait. You know that stats, right? 1 out of 5 make it to 5 years, and 1 out of 5 make it from that 5
True.
years. You know what? Not everybody wins. At one point, you have to push your ego and start working with people that are better than you in specific cases. This is why these guys are here. I'm not doing this.
But these companies, Dave, could have survived if they had specific processes put in place to help them manage the customer
I'm
more.
You right off. It's the
reach
issue.
them more.
The issue is not process at this point. It's a strategy issue. Yeah.
But as you mentioned in the first podcast, it goes to the planning.
Yes.
Right? Of the whole company, of mapping the whole process of the company, and then having an idea of how my company works.
Yeah.
And if I have an issue somewhere blocking me to make sales or to handle a customer, I know where to fix the fire.
Yeah.
But if they had these tools, wouldn't you say that more of them would have survived?
Nope, not necessarily.
Wow, that is savage.
But quite honestly, listen, it's like, okay, I'm gonna give a G rate. No, I'm sorry.
Come on, David.
No, but it's like anything else. It's like anything else. At one point, you can have the fastest car and be the weakest driver.
Okay,
you see what I mean?
True.
You could be driving a Porsche, but you're
a terrible driver.
You're a terrible driver. You see what I mean? Terrible driver. You take it and you crash it. You see what I mean? So it's not because you have a good car that same thing that you might have the best tools but if the strategy is not there, forget it.
But the mapping and the tools, right, and specifically the automation really helps a company have to do a bit less or know a bit less to perform as good, right? So in your analogy of a car, if you have a medium driver in a Porsche, he will beat a really good driver in a bicycle, right? Just because, or just an analogy of a person that would be in a bad car and the other one in a good car, they have an advantage, right? They have this leg up because the car in which they're going is just better, more performing. Mm-hmm. If you have a better CRM or if you have a mapping, you have processes, you're in a better situation that someone has no mapping, no CRM, no strategy.
I understand, but the reality is that everything has to work together. So you're right. Strategy, processes, mapping, tools, etc. Everything has to work together. But the element that is driving the show is the strategy, and that's why a lot of us we're running traction in our business. And this is essentially, now that you have that vision, how are you operating this business as a being? You see what I mean? So this is where the process, and then especially a tool or technology is after. Because at this point, there's a lot of things when you could do it on a piece of paper at this point, on the phone, or today Exactly, with your cell phone. You see what I mean? So it's more this, and yes, then when you get to this point, because don't forget, since the beginning of the episode, we're talking about a marketing company or your marketing partner strategist that is making a good job and it's generating too much sales. So now the focus of what we're doing is addressing the sales process, and that's where we have to keep in mind that everything is connected. So now, in terms of the sales process, we're already talking about the CRM. The CRM is the contact relationship manager or customer relationship manager. The CRM is there to encapsulate the entire sales process. So now let's say that he's in the middle of they made the sales. Now you want to automate how fast that person is getting the service. If you go to Costco, you buy it, you basically get out of it with it. I'm sorry, you basically get out with it. A car, it's gonna be longer, especially now. Electric cars, you're probably putting a deposit. You want to have it until 1-2 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very different way. Let's say you're buying a house or you're buying a house on plan. It's going to be different terms of payments. You see what I mean? So all these different things, it's how do you make it so that, you know what, the sales is confirmed, then the delivery, if the time is different, that's another discussion that we'll address later more in the operation or project management process. But with this one specifically, we're trying to get to the end as fast as possible. Then your job becomes more like keeping in touch, making sure that it's okay, that you see all these different feedback you get, or newsletter or calls or follow-ups that you're getting sometimes when you're making a purchase. It's just to make sure that, you know what, we've completed the loop and we can basically leave you with our product or our services or the people that is going to handle your challenges, and we get out of the way. So now it becomes the topic of our upcoming podcast, right? The one about operation, and especially project management and project portfolio. These are a very interesting subject to me. This is the next part. So there's different things that you put in the project management process, and especially tools. There's great tools to work on it. But for now, we're still, again, in the CRM. At this point in the process, it's also where you would get reviews, testimonials,
customer feedback,
and net promoter scores, all these different measures to essentially be able to track how effective your marketing was and how it's bringing revenues to the company.
It gives you data about how your customer interacts with your product, right?
Yes.
But it gives you valuable feedback also about your service.
Totally.
Right.
And the feedback you'll also get it in your CRM. A lot of them will say, you know what, how many leads do we have? At which steps are we on the volume of leads that we're currently dealing with? The closing rate, the length of the sales process. So once again, once you start using a CRM, these type of information cannot be replicated, and especially if you connect it with a time tracker. This is where you bring this to another level. And the time tracker, same thing. It's going to become very handy when you're in the project management side or operation or delivery of your service. So this is where, you remember I was talking about the moment the customer enters his email or his cell phone.
Yeah.
As he's going through your customer journey, you have more and more information about the client.
Yeah. And as you go with him through the years, you have more and more info about the customer.
Yes.
And his whole process with you.
Yes. So this is actually how Facebook and Google are able to sell you more ads. So they push you a ton of content, and they look at the ones that you're interested in, and they just continue pushing content that is around what you are interested in. And so this is essentially a sales and marketing data that is used perfectly because they were tracking on both sides what were the result, and this is where you have these changes to algorithm, because at some point people figure it out and they get through the crack, and so they adjust it, they patch it kind of as an expression. But no, like this part of your sales process, and especially with your CRM dashboarding, is where you can go back and especially even predict what will be happening and adjust in the front end. So for instance, let's say there's a specific program that is about to end in March that you want to push, make a last push. Now it's the time to make a little bit more pay ads and all these different mechanisms to get those leads to kind of to push into your funnel these customers, and then you're able to deliver their services, and hopefully if you're the type of business like mine, well, continue the relationship by upselling them into a new angle to make their business more efficient.
Okay.
Wow, what a way to close, man.
What a way. But wait a minute, David. I want to ask you a question, right? So you said that we want to go to the next level. This is 2024, right? We got new tools upcoming. We got AI already in the house, right?
Yes.
So can you tell a bit more, how does AI integrate in this new CRM landscape? Right?
Wow, in so many ways. Wait, what did I use AI recently to do?
A lot of things.
Oh my God, I think it was
Gym programs.
I think that
You know?
that for sure. But it was to
strategies.
clean the list, making my the video strategy, preparing for this podcast, etc., etc.
Making reels.
So many. Oh my God, so many things. Now we're using AI, especially with what we're doing with the podcast production. But just at the beginning, let's say, like I said, cleaning up a list, making sure that
Like a to-do list, right?
Whatever type of information, a big volume of things, you could ask the AI to kind of draw
process.
tendency. Okay, so that's one of the first big one. And then in your sales process, let's say in the CRM, all the interaction with a chatbot, a lot of it can be leveraged with AI. Another one is creating, adding notes or adding context or things like that. So let's say you're writing a note that you could correct it, AI, make it more tight, change the tone, etc., etc. So that's another useful element that you could use AI in the CRM. But then when you are in a solution, the solution type CRM, like we were talking earlier, with a lot of automation, that's something else, man. Yeah, that's really something else. So content marketing, everything from creating the post and the production of different marketing output. Today with AI, it's very, very powerful. There's departments. I can't remember what solution it is. The guy is like, okay, he asked his team to look at AI solution to help them be better. And one of the solutions that the guys found, essentially, after I think 2 years, there was one person left.
Really?
Because that tool, no, not even 2 years later, like very fast, like 6 months. Yeah, something like that. Because AI, about 6 months ago.
Okay.
They were a team of 6 and he had to let them go. Because with that single tool, they were doing everything. So translators, there's the good, and especially in some fields, there's private AI as well. So that's another element. There's more companies that are taking their own AI. They're not using a public AI. So that's very powerful as well. This is going to be people are going to be catching on very quickly on this, especially SMEs. If you're not thinking about it, start it. Start it fast.
So do you have any recommendations as to maybe some AI generated CRMs or techniques that someone can use with CRM?
Yes, there's plenty. Nowadays there's a lot of CRMs that integrate with ChatGPT. That's the first. or now the other one, what's the one from Microsoft Copilot. There's Bard, not yet in Canada, but there's more and more solutions that are AI solutions that are coming out. The one that I'm really looking forward is when I'm going to be able to have my own box.
To have your own AI?
My own private AI and feed it with everything that I got. You see what I mean?
Because what you were teaching me about the AI is that you have to prime it. You have to feed it useful information about the task that you want to do.
Yes.
And then and only then can it give you useful and usable information specific to you. So per se, imagine a company could input, as you said, all the emails, all the text messages, all the invoices, all the connect sales to leads, and all this information is built in this AI. Well, the information that is known about the customer is almost limitless. The analysis of behaviors, of customer tendencies, of cycles, of which customer is most likely to maybe need my service again, so reselling again, re-inputting the customer in the cycle, this can all be done through the AI, or a lot of it can be done with AI.
Yes, absolutely. So AI and machine learning technologies on the CRM is going to bring a whole new class of CRM, and some are already there or using it, and some are they're not even close to catch on. So it's going to create a big gap, and the big gap is, especially with private AI, is that you just give it a few months more and it has learned so much. So for instance, the difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and 4, when people are asking me, oh, is it worth the $20? Yes.
You don't understand. You don't understand.
It's people, it's just $20.
Dude, if you knew how much it could save you, David just mentioned it cost the salary of 5 people. You can afford the $5 extra.
Pay the $20.
You
please.
can do it.
Because
Save yourself.
especially if you get to work with me, the type of prompts that we ask, like we're inputting, we're dropping documents, etc., Excels, asking a lot of different operations. Like we need ChatGPT-4, and the other element, it's connected to internet. So whenever you're looking for information, it goes through Bing. That are partners, big partners in ChatGPT. So that's the big difference between 3.5. 3.5, you still have to, like I say, prime it manually. When you remember the good old days last year when we were copying text of websites to give it context, we don't need to do that anymore. So the $20 is it's actually worth it. And also all the additional applications, like the image generator DALL-E, and there's other modes like SEO, content creator, etc. It's wow. It's the new version, and they keep on improving it. The phone version, it's highly practical. The voice function as well. No, ChatGPT is really a powerful tool, and now that you can integrate it with a Zapier or other software like that, it's something else. It's something else. Listen. And in my case, if you're not using it, it's been what? In December, it has been a year. You're so behind.
And light years behind. You know, if I can share a personal, history of how ChatGPT helped me, right? So in the beauty industry, a lot of the customers that come in have cycles of coming in terms of the service that they want to get, right? So the more info I had on my customers, on their age, where they come from, what they like to buy, when do they buy it, right? It allowed me to make better promotions. It allowed me, when I made my sales, to say, hey, this seems to be what you want. Do you want this service? And I had a higher rate of, turnover and like making sales, right? And the biggest aspect of this is when I made a Google ad online, and I made 30,000 of that Google ads, over the span of 6 months. But because the AI and because Google understood my customer, it sent out and it did all this, a bit of the sales process for me, and brought the sales to my door, appointment booked, customer served, money in my pocket, right?
Wow.
So I'm really thankful to you, David, because again, you showed me ChatGPT, you showed me the prompts. And I cannot testify more as to the money and the bank aspect of it. I think 2024 is a year where every business needs to maintain float or increase the revenue. Well, you showed me the way to do it by a one-man team, right? So thank you for that.
And so there's a new course that is coming out from Wize BA that is going to be how to use ChatGPT on a strategic and a process approach. So we're going to be for sure to prime it. Please get one of those books, either Scaling Up, 4DX, Traction. If you want to work with an implementer, I'll refer you to the best Thierry Allegrucci, my friend. So if you want to work with a traction implementer, but the book is also made that you're able to apply it yourself. So we use this as a reference, but then we use the operating system part of traction to do digital transformation. And in traction, there's one element that is process. This is my key focus. So this is where what we do is very different. We're using books all the time as reference. Actually, whenever we have an issue, I'll come up with, you know what? You actually need to read that specific book, right? So books are so powerful. It's knowledge for, sometimes it's the work of a lifetime. So we're using the power of ChatGPT and taking all these books as context when we're asking our questions. And then to actually implement a CRM project, nowadays we're using ChatGPT for almost everything. We're stuck. We have an issue. There's a coding thing, et cetera, writing a script, doing all these different actions with ChatGPT and your CRM is so highly powerful. So yeah, a lot of people were asking about when are you coming with your own series of ChatGPT content and courses? So it's coming out soon.
We'll be waiting. We'll be waiting.
Thank you.
So David, we're almost coming to an end in this beautiful session of ours. So I think I was asking you in the car, right? So if you had a customer in front of you and you could impart to him, right, a bit of the essence of what we mentioned today about CRM, about the sales process and how the CRM can help him, what would you say to this person standing in front of you?
Essentially that, you know what? First off, congratulations, you're making a wonderful jump to attract leads to your business. But now you come to a point where you don't have the necessary tools to be more efficient, to work less, to be able to delegate more efficiently, to get more people involved in the sales process, to make it shorter, to make it quicker. So really taking the time with process mapping to look at where the bottlenecks are and then leveraging your sales activity with powerful tools such as CRM. So that would be, in a nutshell, very technical, but at the end of the day, if we could sum it up for my daughter, Riley, to understand, is that they'll make more money faster.
That's what they want to hear, right? So thanks again, David, for really simplifying this for us. I hope this has been useful to a lot of people. As a business owner myself, I really got a lot from the tools that you mentioned. So if you could introduce maybe a sneak peek of the next podcast, what is it going to be about?
Yes, we're going to be talking about the operation process or the delivery. So once you made the sale, how this part is so crucial, especially when we're talking about capacity management, project management, portfolio management. These are very important skills to take charge. So we're going to talk about another process, but also another technology. This one is going to be specifically about Trello. I know so many different project managers, but for this one, we're going to stick on this one. And again, for this one, there's going to be a new. It's going to be part of that same series of Wize BA content and classes. So it's going to be, you guys are going to be...
It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, yes. All of you that are overwhelmed and working those 80 hours a week, you're going to like that next episode.
Do yourself a favor. So if you ever need any assistance to map your process, to simplify your sales, holla at David, please, wiseba.com. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank
David,
you.
always a pleasure.
All right.